questions. Okay. We are live, though. We are live.
Oh, you have to send me the ECAM thing so I can be a guest.
Well, hello, everybody. We are getting my guest on today, so let's go ahead and get started. Let me first send it to our guest. I should have got that first before I did this, right?
It's okay. It's
Yeah,
okay.
it's okay. We're about to do this, boo. So, for those people who are watching us live, I am looking for a key. Looking for- I forgot where I saw it at the first time, Tiff.
That's hilarious.
I know, right? This is absolutely hilarious. But guess what? It's live. And so when it's live, stuff like this happens all the time. But we got some topics to talk about with people today. Are you ready for it? I'm ready
I'm
to get you
excited.
on with me
If
because,
I was about to say that. I was about to say if I could just get on.
yes, we're going to get you on. Let me see if this is it here. It says, nope. All right. It's so funny right now because you know what? I'm looking at you as if you were on here because it's showing a face, but it's not your face. So
Who is
we
it?
might need to start this again because I just
You can't find it for real?
I don't know how I found it the first time.
Don't play.
I am so serious. And look, it took my oh there I am. Okay, I'm back, but now where are you? Where are you at, Tiff?
Go to invite a guest. Is that what it
That's
was?
what I was looking for. I'm gonna invite you because it looks like I'm going live on, or am I? Oh my God. So it's going like delayed live, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're going to get her started. So as long as people are patient, because what we're about to share is amazing, I'm just going to have to find the link. Ecan. Yeah. Ah. This is hilarious. Oh, wait, is this it? Yes. Here we come, Tiff. Here we come. I found it. All right, for
Okay, yay!
those of you guys have been waiting for this moment, I am excited. I just got to figure out where I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna send it to you right here. All right, there we go. And I wonder if the old one would have worked. Probably not. Click that.
No, it'll be a new one.
Did that not work?
Oh,
Oh, that doesn't look like it.
what is
I
that?
don't know what that is. Okay, let me get it again. I think here, copy link. I have to click. Now it's copied. Now try this. That's not it. All right, you guys, this is called technology at its best and live at its best because I'm about to go down with this today. That should do it, Tiff.
Okay, yay! Yay!
Yay!
I heard. It's
I'm
not
so excited.
joining.
Come on. Okay, see you. See you.
See
I'm
you.
ready. So, you guys have to understand me and Tiff. We talk all the time, okay? And we are here getting ready to go live with you all with this new thing we are going to be doing every day. So if you want to see us every day talking about topics related to what we do, this is where you're going to want to be. Now, you'll have to bear with me because I am learning new technology. We'll share some of these, I guess, tools, resources with you soon. She's the expert on this. I'm not. She's so the expert. So once she comes on live, I'll probably let her share it. So once we get started, and the question is, how do I get us both in the room, Tiff? I think, oh, I'm going to add you here. Well, look at that.
Yeah.
Hey, we did it.
For a second, it was like you're in the green room. I was like, what?
This
Can't
is
even
so
get the look.
wild, right? This is you and me every day, okay?
Are you ready?
I am
Okay.
ready.
It's
So,
still morning. Oh my God, it's afternoon. So good afternoon.
it's now called the THS or THH afternoon show.
It was supposed to be Good Morning. It was a THH morning show, but whatever. Well, it's the afternoon show, and we are going to cover policy, data, and the real operator implications of what's happening in housing right now. I'm Tiff. I'm AI Systems and Implementation, and
And I'm Tony. I'm all about transitional housing and other housing models that work. And if I did not mention, what we're going to be covering are topics that are going to be exploring things related to this particular topic. So today, this is no different. We've got some major briefs that we're going to go through, and we're doing it live. So you go ahead and start us off, Tiff.
perfect. All right, y'all. And if y'all didn't know, Tony has 15 years in this space, so she absolutely knows what she's talking about when it comes to this space. So, the first thing we're going to talk about, y'all, is they defunded permanent housing, and so now they expect transitional housing to carry the load. And I'm gonna walk through a very brief timeline of how it happened, but Tony covered this topic in the past, y'all. It's just coming back to go ahead, and it's still kind of present today. So back in November 2025, that's when HUD issued its last minute NOFO. Fast forwarding to November 8th of that same year, HUD withdrew the NOFO after some lawsuits. Then a couple days later, in the same month, the federal judge issued a preliminary injunction ordering HUD to preserve the status quo and process eligible COC renewable grants. Then, just a couple days later, in January of 2026, HUD reinstated the original NOFO and announced it would process renewal applications. And what's happening now, and it's still present day, is HUD has signaled it will reissue a revised funding notice. And I'm going to let Tony take over because she talked about this already. It's still here.
Yeah, so let me say, and this has been a topic that constantly, like, and I get it 100%. When you're dealing in a space that I'm just going to say for years no one has been looking at, and now all of a sudden they're looking at it, like, and I'm not getting mad at current administration for doing it, because at the end of the day, there's so many areas in our government funding sources that are being bled, and nobody's paying attention to it. So when they start talking about this space, when the NOFO came out, y'all heard me talk about it, how they were cutting like billions. We're not talking millions, but billions of dollars from the budget, and it was going to impact us in such a significant way across the country. Now, I'm here in Missouri, and typically, just so you understand how this works, when money comes down from the federal government, everybody has their part to play in housing. It's not the federal government's responsibility to carry that load by itself, at least a large amount of it. So the goal at first was, let's create some balance. It should be roughly 30%, 40%. Well, it was 30%, 30%, 40%. Okay? I'm breaking it down. It should be equaling 100% at the end of the day, but a lot of that is not to be controlled by the government. You have the community playing a part. You got the state playing a part. So when you got the state and the federal government all and the communities going together at 100% of the effort, that's how a system should work. Well, guess what? It's not like that now. If you go look at the every state and see what percentage of money are they receiving from the federal government for their unhoused populations, guess where those numbers are at? They're not at 30. They're not at 40. They're not at 50. They are literally carrying, I think here in the state of Missouri, almost 60%, if not a little more, of that's carried by the federal government. Does that even make sense? So what happened to our community? What happened to our state? What happened to sharing in that responsibility? So I get it. So when it first hit, everyone was panicking. Everyone, Tiff, they were talking about, like, they were getting scared, because I would be scared too, especially with them putting a cap at 30%. So if you're putting a cap at 30%, now you're putting a large responsibility now on where it should be, which is the state and the community figuring out what they need to do for their unhoused population, figuring out what they can do to make it work. So that's what we were talking about here a few months ago. Obviously, it's still a fight, because that's why, HUD had to withdraw what they were going to do, because
Three 9 billion was the number, by the way. And on top of that, 1/3 of all COC grants expire before June 2026. So the funding gap is said to be active and even widening.
Hmm. So how do you
One
think?
third.
So what do you think? As being a person, Tiff, because this is new for you, right? It's not
Mm-hmm.
so new for me, but being a person just hearing something like this, what are you thinking about that?
I'm thinking while all the politics are occurring, I understand that portion of it, but then what is the solution in the meantime? Because even where I'm reading it here or I'm looking at it, it says it has reissued a funding notice, right? But while the injunction and everything is happening, the stated policy is still intact, which means all the funding still gets taken away. The gap is still there. And so then what happens in between now and the decision? And also, how long does it take to even get to a decision?
Yeah, it's in the courts now. Like so, when the states took it to the courts and said we need to stop this, immediately things were stopped, right? But I'm hoping that they're not thinking that because it stopped that they're in the clear, because they're not. It just slowed it down, and it gives them an opportunity to take action. So if states are not taking advantage of this time now to figure out what they're going to do, not just at the state level, but even in their communities, because that's where it really matters most. We need individuals who are participating in our local continuum of care, talking about what can we do now as a community to impact this positively. Because putting it on the shoulders of transitional housing is not the answer. But what it looks like that's happening. What I'm seeing is even though when this funding goes away and those individuals who did receive permanent supportive housing no longer get it, where do you think they're going to go?
And I was going to give you some numbers just to even quantify that and get your thoughts on who you would like to see come up with a solution as you hear these numbers. So I'm going to spit you some digits really quick. So 170,000 plus people plus currently in permanent supportive housing are at risk of losing their homes when HUD revised the snow fall when it got issued. So that's a lot of people right there.
Yeah.
217,000 plus total formerly homeless people at risk if the COC program is eliminated entirely.
Mm.
1/3 of all COC program awards expire between January to June of 2026 while everything is still being revised. These programs run out of money, even if renewed, because awards won't arrive until June at the earliest. So they're getting cut between now and June 2026, and it doesn't even matter because they won't have any money, even if this is fixed, because nothing is re-implemented up until June. Some other figures, and then we'll get your thoughts on it. Older adults, 55 and plus, are the fastest growing homeless demographic and a primary residence of permanent supportive housing. Wow, that's interesting. Wow. Okay, people with disabilities, veterans, and families of children make up the majority of the 170,000 that I told you at the top are at risk of households. So those are the people that are the most affected when I had read that first figure. In Chicago alone, it's interesting, they cited two places. In Chicago alone, 2,800 households are at risk. And in Los Angeles County, $217 million are at stake, 80% of that tied to permanent housing.
Mm.
And then here's where the overflow is at. Nonprofits absorbing the overflow. 23% of housing nonprofits could run out of government funding within the next 3 months. 23%. And 85% of the continuum of care agencies' total funding comes from HUD. They almost have no. Oh, dang, 85%? They almost have no alternative revenue base based off data. 85% of the agencies. That's a lot.
When you hear those numbers, it's so alarming. And that's why I'm hoping that communities are listening. And then those who are going to help in that space. I'm going to sort of talk about those in two parts. First thing is, if we're not listening as a community around what is about to happen, if you think the last 5 years since COVID, pre-COVID and post-COVID, how our homeless population has increased. And I've been to cities and I'm watching how they're growing. The streets are overflowing where you didn't even see a lot of homeless. Now you see rows of homeless, okay? And that was during that time. So if you think that was rough, what we had to go through when this happens, because it's not an if, it's not an if, it's a when. And I pray it's not. But all they did was slow it down. It just slowed it down to where it wasn't going to happen as fast as it could have. But trust and believe something has to happen because there's a lot of stuff happening. I think there was another figure out there I didn't hear you speak to, Tiff, that was talking specifically about even Section 8. Because once you understand this is all a part of that. Section 8 money, permanent supportive housing money, all this money that was committed before, they showed you the fraud that was happening. So if you think that during COVID and post-COVID was something, this right here is like, I hate to even call it the perfect storm because nothing about this is perfect. But we're watching a collision of not only individuals who are unhoused already, who are already overflowing, and then you've got new people who may now potentially be added because they either got Section 8 assistance and now they can't. What's going to happen to them? Where are they going to go? They're now going to be fighting for the same resources that we have even our unhoused population fighting for. And then you've got the cuts that are going to just happen normally. And you've got our silver tsunami. Remember it said those people who are over 55 years old? Guess what? I'm in that number. I'm over 55.
I love that. Keep going. Sorry.
Did you see what I'm saying? Like, people aren't thinking about the perfect storm that's happening around them. And that's why I said this is so alarming. I should be hearing across this country, in not just our local COCs, but people talking about what are we going to do about this? Because it's not going to stop. It's going to happen. What are we going to do to curtail it? So before I jump into the options of what can be done, Tiff, I want to get your response because I don't even think you thought about that much of that perfect storm, of that collision of those four coming together and how that's going to impact communities.
I actually have not only some questions for you regarding that, but even a trap, like the structural trap that I hear related to that. And let me hear what your thoughts on this. So to enter transitional housing, a person must be classified as literally homeless, right?
Mm-hmm.
But people losing permanent supportive housing are currently housed, so they don't qualify for transitional housing till they're already back on the street, right?
Right.
And HUD's policy creates a mandatory re-homelessness gap before people can access the replacement system.
So
what is that? What is that gap?
So I want to make sure that we clearly understand what this is talking about specifically. If we were concerned about, like, I understand HUD's definition of transitional housing, right? And they have to define it a certain way so that they can do what? Give funding to it, right?
Right.
So per that definition, that is correct. Individuals who are wanting to enter into a transitional housing program that has been approved by HUD and operating compliantly by HUD, yes, there's certain guidelines you have to do. But many people, because of that fact right there, they're not going to be able to qualify because they're technically not homeless. So it's that catch-22 for those individuals. So what that forces us to think about or consider those programs that are not HUD compliant. Now that's scary in the thought. Okay, y'all gonna get me on a topic I really didn't want to get on.
Because my next question is, does this go into unlicensed? Doesn't mean uncompliant? Because we talk about that in our community all the time. So does that? Can you talk about that really quick?
Yeah, that's why I said I don't want to get on my soapbox, but y'all know how I am when I get on my soapbox, because in my mind, everybody has lumped group homes, independent living homes, boarding houses, rooming houses. They've lumped all of them under transitional housing. So I'm just going to tell you, those are not transitional housing. Per the definition of transitional housing and their definition, you must have some form of a program or a structure toward helping somebody move from a state of not being housed into something that's permanent. And that bridge to that is transitional housing. It must have something tied to it, a curriculum of some kind of program, and there must be a time constraint. So you can't just randomly have people just there forever. You have to have a program that allows for them to show what they can do in a certain amount of time. Per the definition of HUD, you got 2 years max. Whatever guidelines, and then you're no longer in that little bubble of what they define as transitional housing. So going back to the original question of what's going to happen to these people, because they technically can't be classified as homeless. They're not going to really qualify to be a part of a program like what HUD is defined. So they're going to be forced into one of a few things. They're going to be forced into a boarding house or a rooming house or a group home or independent living or something of the likes. Because most people who are in this space, that's what they operate. That's what you hear them bragging about. Open up a group home. You can get all the homeless people and put them up here. And they start warehousing people. That is my fear. That is one of my biggest fears as I look at what is happening is we're going to have individuals because they have nowhere else to go. They're going to end up in one of those places. Heaven forbid, has no programming.
But I was about to say, wouldn't that be holding operators accountable to a population that weren't built to serve? Because those people that have chronic disability, they have no work capacity, and they really do need long-term housing. Do they really even fit into any of those models perfectly?
They don't fit perfectly, but that's the problem. They literally are going to be the catch-all. And that's why I said anyone entering into this space without thought, entering into this space just like, well, I just want to help people, you're going to end up hitting a wall or hitting several walls in that journey without doing it the right way. And I feel it's a disservice more so to the people who are falling through those cracks and the operators themselves, because I don't even refer to them as operators in the same sense of the word. They simply are people who are providing a housing service. They're not operating a program. And so when I hear operator, I'm thinking of someone who has a program that they're following, that they're doing it in a structured way with a timeline to it. That's what I think of when I think of an operator. But someone who just has housing, someone who has a boarding house, I don't see them as operators in the same sense of the word. They're just someone providing housing. But the fear is you're going to get who you get. Now think about it. People who are in a permanent supportive housing model are in there on purpose because they need what? Support. Permanently, not temporarily, permanently. So imagine you get somebody who is in need of permanent supportive housing because they're dealing with mental illness. They're dealing with ways in which they can't support themselves. You're already telling you they can't be supported without assistance, right? Permanently. And now that it's being cut and they're now going into Joe's boarding house. So imagine Joe, he just opened up a home because he read that he can open a boarding house and make hundreds. He can make a ton of money opening up houses.
It's like a funding opportunity.
Yeah. And so most people like Joe get into this space and they're like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to make a lot of money creating housing like this and I'm going to help. And now they get John, who needed permanent supportive housing, and their money was cut. And you got case managers out here just trying to place people, right? Just placing them. We just got to help get these people housed. And I'm watching this happen across the country. That's why do not get me. Well, I can stay on this soapbox all day, every day, and talk about this topic because they're going to be the ones catching it. So when John leaves, that permanent supportive housing that he had, but because their budget was cut, they found Joe. Joe has friends. Joe has a whole lot of landlord friends, right? So Joe tells all his friends, let's go get these boarding houses or let's do independent living. Let's help. And they all do this. And every John, every Sam, every Joshua from our permanent supportive housing that needed permanent supportive housing go into this model, and they just warehouse people. What do you think happens to them? What do you think would happen?
I feel like that's, I feel like obviously they don't have the self sufficiency, right, that they're looking for. But I almost feel like it's a weird catch 22 because it's almost like transitional housing providers are being positioned as the fallback solution without being funded as one.
Exactly.
But then I'm almost a little confused because can I read to you a quote that actually came from HUD's official positioning as of November 13th of 2025? How do you feel about this statement? That's why it got me kind of thinking. It's like transitional housing is kind of the fallback here, but then want to see how HUD positions it as to why.
Okay.
Here's the quote. Transitional housing, which has been proven to encourage self sufficiency, never received more than 2% of COC funding over the last 4 years. That's a HUD official statement to justify it.
So let me tell you, and that's why I say I've been in this space for 15 years. So, and I've created programming without funding. I'm just going to say for the record, everything that I've created, I've done it without funding from the government. Okay? So, that's been the case longer than 4 years. Because they changed the definition of transitional housing years ago because they wanted to increase more permanent supportive housing. Once you understand how this thing is structured, it blows my mind. But everything is based on what people want in their community. So the whole, let's just put everybody in a permanent supportive housing model. They started flooding that and start taking monies and away from transitional housing and all the things that are really necessary. And now here you figuring out how necessary it is to have what? Transitional housing. Why?
Because you know, without trying to fix the funding problem for transitional housing, but just giving more of the backload. One more quote. You ready for this quote?
Yeah.
This is from HUD Secretary Scott Turner. Same day. Our philosophy for addressing the homelessness crisis will now define success not by dollars spent or housing units filled, but by how many people achieve long-term self-sufficiency and recovery.
Bottom line. So that's how it should have been all along.
But without the funding, so why not put the funding there though?
Well, right now they can't put the funding nowhere because it's already being jacked. Oh, I hate to even saying like that. I'm not here accusing anybody in any community of taking dollars and not using them the way that they need to be using them. But at the end of the day, does it make sense to have 60% of your budget coming from federal funding for permanent supportive housing? I promise you, not everybody needs permanent supportive housing, especially if you don't give them the skills necessary to be able to permanently be housed. That is the problem.
And what if permanently disabled? Like some of those models exist for a reason. Like
for a
there
reason.
is a place for them. They just you can't bulk everybody in the same place.
It's not a catch-all, but they've made that a catch-all. They've made Section 8 a catch-all. Because I promise you, those people getting Section 8, when taught how to sustain themselves, won't need Section 8. Is that right or wrong, Tiff?
That's true. I come from Section 8 of food stamps.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. It is meant to be temporary.
It's meant to be temporary, but guess what? And that's what they found. They found what? All the fraud. People who are getting Section 8 benefits that shouldn't be getting Section 8 benefits, that have been getting it for years, been dead and gone, and they just still collecting. Like, this is a reality. So I'm not mad. People want to get mad at Trump and get mad at the administration, talking about how he's doing X, Y, and Z without looking at the problem. That's like getting mad at, instead of dealing with the problem, you blaming someone else. And you ain't even addressing the problem. Stop trying to blame other people and address the problem. The problem is we are over leveraged in not just that department, but several other departments, because that is what has been created for decades. So it's going to take somebody who has the wherewithal and the boldness to call a spade and deal with it, or keep throwing it under the rug and saying it's, hey, well, let's just ignore it. No, we're going to deal with it. And it's going to be dealt with. And that's why I'm glad it was brought to light, but then that should be something that communities should be getting together and talking about. Not just, and I got so many solutions in my head. I want to talk through some of those solutions. But I want to make sure that what we have in front of us, people clearly understand what we're facing. So one of my first solutions, I'm gonna save the best for last, or I might save the best for like maybe people just we'll say we'll go over both of them because I could talk on this all day long. Y'all let me talk. I'll be here for 5 hours still talking about this space because I believe in it so sincerely. When we realign our communities, because that must happen first. We realign our communities, those stakeholders that used to play a part in the process before it was stripped from them and given to the federal government to control. The government should not be running all parts of this. You got the state that allocated funds at one point to this. Now they don't because it was going to the federal government, so they took funds and put it somewhere else. So that's where it needs to start first, is at the state level. I think it should start at the community level first, for real, because it should be your community's responsibility, but it falls on all of them. But the state needs to go back and reassess and look at where their resources are going and put them where they belong, taking their percentage of what they should be taking in this model. I think that having the community, the church used to play that role. What happened? What happened, my pastors, my preachers, my communities, your neighborhood? You're the one who touched the people. Now is the time to come back together. And I have been strategizing. Like I'm very intentional. If you want me coming to speak to your church about how you can play a part in your community to turn this around, I'm 100% here to talk to you about it. Because if I've been
why do you think it changed though?
Because
with the church.
Because the responsibility, I mean, what do you call it? Your directives changed. Because right now you had the federal government paying 40, 50, 60% of the money. So now what that
the government made that happen.
Right. So if you now have somebody else, that's like if you had your mom and daddy, if you had your own money and your mom and daddy paid for everything, what you gonna do? Are you gonna still pay, or are you gonna use your money for something else?
That makes sense. So federal assistance almost unintentionally discourage local responsibility.
Bottom line. And that is a reality.
Communities, then state. Because honestly, we have this all together. We could do something. Because I know we talk about that all the time. I kind of hate though how they're using the lack of funding that transitional housing got as a way to say y'all can do this no money.
Well, and that's why I sort of hate that I know I can, because now Tony Wade can do it. If Tony Wade can do it, anybody.
I know about that all the time. You always talk about even the model that you talk about before even having the housing, having the revenue first, unheard of, right? Yeah. You don't really ever hear that about nothing else. At least I've never seen it on all the topics online about it until your community, the community that we have. That's the only place you ever hear that at.
Yeah.
What other solutions do you hear? Because I'm about to put you in a hot seat in a second to make you stop it.
The hot seat. So she gonna put me in the hot seat, okay? Honestly, because the church is the biggest. The church and businesses. When you can, and I'm telling you, there's ways that we can do this. That thing I just talked about that we do. If you are a business owner, let me just throw a plug right now, because it can happen, business owner, especially if you do merchant services, business owner, and you already do this automatically, business owner, you need to reach me or Tiff. Number one, if you want to make an impact in your community, reach out to me. Reach out to Tiff. Because I'm telling you, that alone, money you're already spending, I can show you how to divert that and be able to actually help in your community. So when you got churches, them too. How many churches, like when you go to church, what's the thing they pop up on the screen all the time when you're at church to give?
Oh yeah, your tithes.
They say give, pay your tithes. How are they doing it? They're using a QR code. They're using merchant services.
Now it's a QR code in your phone. It's no longer a basket.
Everybody's using merchant services today. That's why I'm telling you. You don't even have to be a business owner. Just run a church. Run a big church. Your money going through a processor, right? You need to reach out to us too. So if not only are you a business owner and you are a church, You need to be reaching out to us so we can show you how to just simply divert what you're already paying anyway so it can help your community. Because we need to help the community first. So when you can help your community do those things necessary, along with the business owners playing a part, you got the COC, all these agencies. The agencies should not be the dominating force of the COC. I know for a fact, at least in the one that we had, it was heavy agencies, which I love all the agencies. I love the work that they do, but it's not their responsibility to carry that by themselves. HUD created the COC so that it could be able to be that place where those funds can be put and well thought out in what needs to be done. And if you're a business owner, if you're a church and you're not involved with your COC, how do you even think you're going to have a discussion about money that's coming to your community unless you're a part of the COC? That's why I don't care how bad it may have gotten in our community of our COC. For me personally, I still advocate for them. Why? Because we have to advocate for our communities. We have to advocate for how to bring those dollars here the right way. Not that it's just flooded with agencies competing for the same money, because that's not what it should be neither. You got communities that should care about building something that will sustain those who need the services. So, y'all got me on my soapbox, Tiff, because I could talk about that, because these are some of the solutions. These are clear solutions. I didn't even talk about what I can do yet. I'm just talking about just those basic things right there toward helping alleviate some of this. So, questions about that before I jump into that part?
What if I put you on the hot seat and then we can end it with what the best? That's probably the best solution. You. That was you did it on purpose. That was good.
That is good. I'm the best solution. No, I ain't putting all that on my shoulders.
And then when we come back later on, we can talk through some of the other topics that we had. But put you on the hot seat really quick. So I was gonna give you some debates, and I was gonna ask you to pick on which side of the fence are you on. So you actually already picked one of them, because one I was gonna ask if you agreed with HUD, agree or disagree for their stance on this, but you already answered it, and they were saying that faith-based providers are being elevated by HUD as preferred COC recipients. And it sounds like you agree with that 110%.
100% in the impact of what is the church supposed to do anyway, other than obviously save souls, be disciples, right? But that's what we're here for. We're the ones on the ground working with those individuals who need help. So why would we not be the first point of contact for these individuals?
So next one, do you agree or disagree with this one? This is from the Urban Institute of Research, and they're explicit about this. They say that evidence supports permanent supportive housing. Evidence does not support transitional housing for chronic homelessness. HUD is making a policy bet against this research base as a whole.
So because transitional housing is not meant for those who are chronically homeless. I'm just telling you, if you've ever had to deal with individuals who are chronically homeless, they have a whole lot of hurdles to jump through to even deal with before you can stabilize them. So transitional housing is not the space for that at all, unless your program is so heavy. I still can't even imagine being able to do that even in a 2-year period. They really are not meant for that.
Mental
people are dealing with mental illness, dealing with things that they've been dealing with through that chronic.
I was just trauma, just like the willingness to be able to want to be self-sufficient.
Yeah, I mean, and can I just add this point? Because even, I don't know if you've seen where people have tried to help people who are chronically homeless, and they try to get them an apartment, or they'll get them a hotel to stay in. What do they end up doing 9 times out of 10 to that property? Destroying it.
You know what that reminds me of? You ever met anybody who was incarcerated and they almost can't help it but try to go back in 2 or 3 months? Like it's just like a need.
There's several reasons for that too. It's several reasons.
That's mental, because it's definitely more comfortable outside.
Yeah.
But it's not about comfort at that point. That's a subconscious, because we're more animals than anything else. Oh God, don't get me started.
Yeah. 100.
I'm gonna leave the last one for last before you can get into the best kept solution. And thank you so much, Beverly. I'm reading your comment in there. You ladies are on fire on this. Thank you so much, Beverly. Okay. All right. So, I'm saving the best for last, and then you can get into the best kept solution, which is you. So now, who do you agree with on this, HUD or the advocates? All right. So HUD argues that housing first failed because homelessness kept rising. Advocates counter that homelessness rose because of housing costs, not because of the housing first model. The debate is ongoing, and operators are being asked to take a side. Whose side do you take?
Can I ride the middle? Can I ride the
Switzerland!
middle? Let me just,
Switzerland!
because I see it from both sides, honestly. So, because I have a lot of close friends, and where I came from, we believe in a housing first model. But I also can see some of their issues with that. And then also being a person who provides housing. I'm a real estate investor as well as a person who has a heart for this space. And you can try as hard as you want to make it affordable. You can't. So I see the housing first advocate saying, look at the market we're dealing with. It's making it difficult for us to be able to move and do those things. And that's 100% true. In order for a real estate investor or a landlord to make it affordable, they would have to go into it knowing they are doing it at a loss. Can you imagine? I don't know too many people in real estate who say, you know what, I'm gonna get into this space and I'm gonna lose about $100,000. I'm good with that. You're not gonna see that. And it's
Right.
this weird dynamic when you're dealing with real estate investors who want to get into this space. I'm all for them wanting to get into this space, but it can't be about the money. Can we create something beautiful? Absolutely. Can I make it to where it is a profitable model? Yes, I can. You just have to be open to how we can do that, because creating affordable housing is a bigger problem that we can't deal with, the costs and all these other things. And I've heard people, I'm just going to throw this in here. It's so funny to me when I talk to people who are, I'm in the space that I'm at, right? And let's say that I've got a person who wants to participate in our program. And let's say we charge them, let's just say a number, $800 a month is what it costs for them to pay to be a part of the program, let's just say. I've heard people in agencies get mad at me because they say, Tony, that's just too much. You're charging way too much to cover dip, lip, and nip for this person. It should be more affordable, and it's shared housing. It should be something like $250, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the difference, though. That's why I say I don't even think they even get it. Because when I explained it to them, they were like, "Oh, okay." Because they had to tuck. You better tuck if you don't understand. Because let's say that I do charge $700-800 for them to just be there to live, right? And you charge $250. Well, number one, you charge $250 because you got Catholic Charities and all these other agencies because you're a nonprofit, right? So they're covering costs. So you're getting donations, right? You're getting donations. What else do you have that I don't have? You got staff. You got 2, 3 case managers who come in there out of their own, because that's what they get paid. Salaries. They got salaries, right? So now you're paying a salary of that. You got donations coming here, and then you're probably getting some type of assistance for the utilities, right? So all those things as a nonprofit, and you talk about it should only be $250. I should be saying that. I should be saying something to you about the $250 you charge, because all your other stuff is covered. Your utilities are covered. You got staffing. You got the building. Like, you got everything paid for. What are you doing at $250? You see what I'm saying? People want to be in your pocket about that piece, but we got to cover all those expenses up front. So 250, 700, like, they don't look at it the same. They are different. When you're a nonprofit, they get all those benefits coming to the table to provide the same type of housing, then you can talk about it. I know that's another soapbox I get on, because people don't understand what it costs to do the work that we do in this space, and we don't have funding. So going back to your original question of the solution, because I truly believe the solution toward getting churches more involved in the discussion and the communities working together collectively to beating that But I do know what I've been able to put together. I've been doing this for 15 years. 15 years with zero HUD grants, zero HUD. Like I don't go for all that. I have to be creative in the way in which we've built this. So that's why I'm able to teach other operators how to do what I've done because I've done it. And I know how to create it to where not only can we help those who truly qualify to learn, like to actually take in what we're doing, but also identify the right people who are a good fit for what we do. Because I know we said earlier that at some point this car is not going to stop, it's going to hit a wall. So when they start doing that and individuals no longer have permanent supportive housing as an option and they're going to be coming knocking on your door, I don't want you to not be prepared. And we've created a program that prepares people in this space for being a HUD aligned transitional housing program. What does that mean? That means that we follow the guidelines that HUD described to be able to do this work. And that's what's so amazing about what it is that we've created. So I'm excited for the opportunity. Those of you who love this topic as much as I do and you want to learn more about it, be sure to watch our webinar. We talk about this stuff all the time. And you can get that. I'm going to have Tiffany sort of share what you guys need to go to see our webinar. But if you don't want to go to the webinar and you want to join our school community, tonyschool.com. That's TONISKOOL.com. That's where all of the operators come together. Those who want to get into this space and learn how to do it the right way. We come together and do this work there. But if you just want an overview of the webinar, Tiff, what is that?
So you guys understand what we do every week. For anybody who's a little loose. And by the way, I didn't see the comments on there. Hi, Cortez. And then Chrisma, I think I said that totally wrong. Hey there. And then Beverly, she did say homelessness failed on several different fronts: mental illness, spousal abuse, divorce, aging out, etc.
Yes.
My favorite out of all of those programs is the youth facing out aging out of foster care. Every time we talk about that one.
Yes.
So I would go ahead and say if you guys want to go ahead and hear about what it is that we go ahead and we do every single week on a webinar to get you guys adjusted for it, we absolutely will drop the link down below, but you guys can go ahead and register at tonyslive.com. We do put that link in the description. And then later on, we will be going over different topics as well because Tony just shared, we really just talked about what the COC funding shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how that got placed onto traditional housing, and what does this actually look like. So instead of feeling helpless around it, there's actually a really good gap for everybody to fill. Not me using the words that we always use, but some other topics that Tony, I know you're going to be excited about is, I think we'll be coming around with this one later on, right? Transitional housing, absorbing the overflow, second chance reauthorization act, the reentry housing.
Oh, my fave.
That's your fave?
What? I have so many. I really do have a lot of favorites. But I've been doing that the longest, I would have to say.
The reentry housing?
100.
I'm Hispanic, but if I pronounce this wrong, somebody will take the Spanish card away. Casa de Amparo, transitional housing for young women. I'm gonna have you say that one next time.
Oh no, I won't. You do not know. You know how bad my Spanish.
This one actually published yesterday. I don't know if you heard about it. So
I
heard about that one.
I haven't.
And then Washington State legalizes transitional housing in residential zones as of 2 days ago. Another topic we'll be talking about.
Oh, goodness, I'm ready. You're gonna be fighting at the bit for these topics. So I'm gonna just say too. So y'all, we're gonna be doing this every morning. It's gonna be actually the morning show. Okay, I promise you it'll be the morning show. But if you got topics you want me to talk about, if you want to come on, like especially if you want to come on, say you'll come on. I think I can add you. Can I? I think we can add people.
I think. And next week, so I got a sneak peek. We'll also be talking about the National Housing Policy Forum that changes on March 10th through the 13th. For like Capitol Hill. So that will be we'll be talking about that next week as well. So if you guys do have any topics, y'all can go ahead and drop the comments or anything like that, and we'll absolutely go ahead and take it. I'll let Tony close us out because I know that you can't wait to talk about the other topics later on. But spacing y'all out. So y'all had a good lunch with us on purpose. But I'll let Tony go
I
ahead.
love it. So this is our lunch hour, but next time it's going to be in the morning. I promise you. And we're just excited for being able to bring these type of topics to the front every day. If we're not thinking about this every day, we should be. And that's why I'm committed, Tiff's committed about bringing these topics in front of you so you can make a decision how you want to play a part in making an impact. Because we truly believe in social impact. We believe in whatever it is that we do, we can impact our communities positively to help other people thrive and survive and get to a state of where they're being. So I'm just excited for being able to do the topic. Start getting used to seeing us here because we're about to have a good time. And I love you guys so much. Have a good one. Thank you. Wait, she say tutors. Y'all know me. Hope this helps. Now the question is how I turn this off. That's what I want to know.